Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into BIM 2.0, specifically cloud native design and what it actually means for the small firm architect. We're looking at the massive shift from those sluggish, static workflows we've been stuck with for decades, straight into a really dynamic, exciting future for the built environment. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this, because this question gets right to the heart of the daily frustrations experienced by so many of us, especially those running or working in small architecture firms. We are out here trying to tackle incredibly complex modern design challenges, things like sustainability, rapid urbanization, intricate geometries, but we're often doing it using software paradigms that were built for a PC and land-centric world back in the 1990s. It just doesn't make sense anymore. For years, the whole promise of building information modeling, or BIM, was this perfect digital twin of the built environment. But the reality of BIM 1.0? Honestly, it's often a huge bottleneck. Small firms battle these disconnected workflows every single day. Think about your own process. You design in one application, you export a massive static file, you upload it, you share a PDF, your consultant marks it up, and then you try to manually reconcile those changes. It is siloed, it is static, and your critical project data is completely isolated. To really put this into perspective, there's a fantastic story shared by industry expert Martin Day. He mentioned a design director who investigated why his team was just, sitting around drinking tea all morning. The answer? Literally, they were just waiting for their massive Revit models to load. It's funny, but it's also a massive drain on efficiency. When your entire system is based on giant monolithic files relying purely on local CPU power, your team is essentially paralyzed by loading screens and crashing files. And this brilliantly illustrates the paradigm shift we are currently experiencing. We're moving away from the era of BIM 1.0, where files are locked on local hard drives and collaboration is painfully asynchronous. Instead, we are stepping into the era of BIM 2.0. This is a world where data isn't trapped in a file format. It's dynamic, it's native to the cloud, and collaboration happens continuously and instantaneously, regardless of where your team is actually located. So, what exactly is BIM 2.0? By definition, we're talking about modern platforms that replace those static files with distributed graph-based data models. Instead of saving a clunky, gigabyte-sized file, your project lives as a fluid database in the cloud. And because it's a database, the software acts way more like an intelligent assistant. You aren't just using it to spit out 3D drawing sets anymore. The platform actually helps you shape design decisions in real time. For a small firm architect, the absolute best part of this transition is seamless flow. Upgrading to BIM 2.0 absolutely doesn't mean you have to throw away the software you spent years mastering. Cloud platforms act as the connective tissue between the programs you already rely on. It finally eliminates that endless cycle of exporting, importing, and data wrangling that eats up so much of your billable time. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that openness is fundamentally baked into BIM 2.0. Thanks to modern API-first architecture, we finally have true interoperability. Let's say your engineer loves MicroStation, your drafter uses AutoCAD, your lead designer prefers Rhino, and your consultant is on Revit. In a BIM 2.0 ecosystem, live links replace manual file exchanges. The data stays fluid and totally accessible across all these vastly different legacy systems. No more format wars. Let's walk through how this unified workflow actually operates, using platforms like Motif or Speckle. Step 1. You establish a live model connection right from your desktop software. Step 2, instead of saving a local file, the geometric data and metadata are instantly stored and parsed in a cloud database. And step 3 is real-time collaboration. Someone can open that Cloud Hub in a web browser, view the 3D model, make annotations, and those updates push right back to the native software, all without a single export button being clicked. Martin Day summarized the ultimate goal of these open ecosystems perfectly when he said, the data needs to flow like water and it needs to have no bottlenecks. For small architecture firms, bottlenecks are literally the enemy of profitability. When data flows like water, your team can iterate faster, communicate clearer, and avoid that devastating rework that happens when someone is accidentally working off an outdated PDF. Now, right alongside cloud databases, we have to talk about the other magic weapon empowering small firms: artificial intelligence. Look, BIM 1.0 automated our drafting. It took us from 2D lines to 3D models that generated our sections. BIM 2.0 is going to automate our design intelligence. We are transitioning toward machine-learned systems that actually suggest, adapt, and learn from how we build. Let's move to and see how this builds, because it directly addresses a lot of the fear out there about AI taking jobs. AI is perfectly suited to handle the repetitive, tedious work, generating standardized drawing sets, running endless compliance checks, and optimizing basic floor plan layouts. And by handing that over, it frees up the human architect to focus entirely on what machines cannot do: high-level creative intent, complex problem solving, and building deep client relationships. And we need to be clear, these are not just sci-fi dreams for 10 years down the road. These tools are here right now. Take Spatio, a startup that generates massing options and uses AI to run local zoning and compliance checks instantly. Or look at Finch, this incredible tool out of Sweden that uses computational design to automatically generate and optimize detailed floor plans based on the parameters you set. You take these outputs, bring them right back into your workflow via the cloud, and just keep designing. So why is all of this workflow optimization so critical right now? Because the built environment is at a tipping point. Small firms are basically being asked to solve monumental global challenges. And to do that, they need absolute maximum efficiency. When you strip away the busy work of data wrangling, you unleash the creative power required to actually design the buildings of tomorrow. So, the crucial point is obvious when we look at the numbers. The built environment is responsible for roughly 40% of global energy use and a massive portion of greenhouse gas emissions. If we are going to design buildings that are highly sustainable, incredibly resilient, and deeply human-centered, we simply cannot waste our mornings watching a loading bar. We desperately need dynamic tools that allow for rapid environmental simulation and complex problem solving. To pull all of this together, the transition to BIM 2.0 is an absolute game changer for the small firm architect. It empowers lean teams to punch far above their weight class. By utilizing API-first cloud databases and machine learning, you completely eliminate data wrangling, you automate the tedious drafting that drains your resources, and you reclaim your time to focus purely on what you are actually trained to do: beautiful, sustainable, creative design. The technology is here, the ecosystem is finally opening up, it's becoming dynamic, and it's heavily integrating machine intelligence. The only question left is really for you and your practice. Are you ready to leave those static, crashing files behind and embrace the future of design? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this sparked some incredible ideas for your own workflows. Keep learning, keep designing, and I'll catch you next time.